Hello YouTube, we're just passing Taunton Dean services and I want to welcome you all to this special edition of my YouTube channel called Oh My Trucking Wife. This video basically is wanting to share with you the story of how my dear and I became my dear and I. So if you haven't already switched off in disgust that it's not going to be a trucking video, I want to thank you all for staying with me and I hope you enjoy our story. It all started way back when I was about 11 or so. Throughout my childhood I've been pretty pampered and sheltered, and unfortunately I hadn't been out until I was around 10 or 11. I don't mean I was locked in the cellar or anything like that, but I wasn't allowed out socialising or playing with friends and things like that, so I was really relatively new to going out, and fortunately I'd managed to befriend my cousin and I used to go out on bike rides with them. And there was a girl a year above me that I took a bit of a shine to, and eventually on one day we shared our first little kiss. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing or supposed to do, so we had a little kiss, nothing more, nothing less, and nothing more or nothing less came from it. Anyway, we both went our separate ways. I actually managed to get a tiny bit of a social life and started hanging out with other people, and then everything went from there. I went one way, she went another, and then that was it really for 10 more years. And then about 10 years later, all the anxieties that I'd had as a child and growing up in my life, unfortunately the anxieties triggered the depression, and after putting up with it for many years, I finally slipped into depression as opposed to having only anxiety. And around about 13 years ago, around about Christmas, I finally hit rock bottom and made an attempt to end my life. And unfortunately, that's how far I'd slipped before I'd decided to ask for help. And that was the start of a long, drawn-out process of psychiatrists and doctors and therapy, or counselling I should say. So unfortunately the therapy and doctors and everything that everyone was trying to do to help me, it was basically just a long and winding road that was leading nowhere. And around about 11 and a half years ago now, after suffering like that for about 2 years, it got to the stage where I just started to go back out of the house because I was too scared to go out the house. I'm not going to go into the details, it sounds very hard to believe, and unless you've been in that kind of state of mind, you won't really understand what it's like. So yeah. Anyway, I'd go out to the counsellor, come back, and that'd be pretty much it. And even just going to the counselling used to take every effort to get on that bus and get out into the world. Anyway, walking to and from or catching the bus to and from the counsellors, I'd started to bump into a girl, the same girl that I'd shared the kiss with many years ago, and we'd just been passing because we lived local to each other, so we'd share the bus journey home, or we'd share the walk home off the bus. And it was unusual, but I was talking to another person other than close family or the counsellor, and nothing really, it didn't change anything. We didn't get closer or anything like that, but we still ventured off our separate way, oblivious to each other's problems. Gradually over time I'd started to get a tiny bit more confident, and I'd managed to go around the local area, and one day I'd managed to pluck up the courage to pop into the local, and just as chance would have it, this girl was in there. Unfortunately, they were attending their grandfather's funeral and the wake and afternoon drinks. So I went over and offered her my condolences, gave her a big strong hug, told her where I am if she needed me. And that was 11 years ago this day. And I went home, thought nothing of it. And then that girl turned out to knock on my door later that evening, 11 years ago today. And that girl was my dear Kelly. So after sharing a kiss, a very frigid kiss, as a 10, 11-year-old, to going our separate ways and sharing our lives apart, our lives are brought back together by either fate or by what I said about offering her help and support that day. But basically, she was the one who reached into my life, plucked me out of the depression, and about 6 months later we were together, and we were together 11 years ago. We actually got together, but obviously it was a big commitment for myself and a very big risk for herself, because not only was I a bit of a fragile mind at the time, she had a daughter to focus on, and obviously for her to allow me into her life means allowing me into her child's life. So the ultimatum was to either snap out of it and pull myself together and get into this relationship, or not have the relationship at all. And just like that, that was the spark in my life that ignited my recovery process, and within months I was back up and I was on the top of the world. I was going back to work, I was going back out, and my life had a purpose, and that purpose was being with my dear Anne Louise, who I'm now proud to call my daughter, even though she's my stepdaughter. I've brought her up and raised her as my own daughter, and I'm really proud that she calls me her father. And now we've been engaged for about 6 years, maybe more, maybe less, and we've got a 4-year-old son, Joseph, who I'm sure you may know of if you regularly view the channel. And I'm happy to announce that it's our 11th anniversary together today. The clue's been in the story, really. And we've finally been able to start getting some wedding preparations together, because we just haven't been able to have the money and the funds. However, we're now finally in a position, after some very hard work last year. You've all seen my journey, and if you haven't, check out all my previous vlogs. Basically, I'm a lorry driver now, and I've been vlogging for the past year. Every day, every working day, I've been doing a video and editing and putting it out the same day for you all to share and see. But anyway, that's another subject. Go and check out the vlogs if you're interested in that. This video has been all about the story of how me and my dear got together, and I hope you enjoy it. It's a bit of a fairy tale. I haven't glamorised it, I haven't tried to put icing on it and make it sweeter than it is. I've just told you how it is. So I want to wish my dear Kelly a very happy and sincere anniversary. I love you, I owe you my life, and I can't wait for you to be my wife.